to Small Cap Recap, everybody. As you can see, I am not wearing a Versace robe, and that is because we did not get to 300 likes. Andrew, click the button. Boo-hoo. I guess you could say that all of you that liked were robed of that hope. Andrew, hit the laugh button. Oh, okay, enough with the comedy. I'm sorry, that was just fun. All right, sorry. Now, actually, enough with the comedy. Back into trading. This week has actually been a little bit tough for me, if I'm being serious here. I'm down about $3,500 this week so far, so not looking great, but I'm optimistic. I think there are a lot of good setups coming up, especially as the market is trying to bounce a bit. Just teetering with that 400 level once again. This is kind of the strongest intraday move I've seen on it in the past week or so. A lot of these gap ups have just been met with so much selling. So good to see some momentum in the market. And I think if we get that 400 break, we have a lot of potential bounce setups. So enough talking. Let's get on into the charts. Boom. So here's that SPY. Ooh, really flirting with the 400 level now. Really flirting with it. Let's take an intraday look. Oh, I guess it already did break. I forgot, but just barely broke it and then has been rejected twice now. So still just really, really close. I think if we get a strong close, especially if we could get a gap up, that would be really big for, I think really the entire market. I think we see some really key bounces, especially on some small caps. So stick around here because I'm going to go over some of my favorite setups, a couple of them that I like that are forming. But aside from, the SPY now gapping up, being up 1% today and kind of holding these levels, we also had Silicon Valley Bank Financial Group resume trading as an OTC stock. Now this is fun. Let's take a look here. Okay, that's crazy. So it opened up basically pre-market at $4.50 as an OTC. Then opened the actual trading day up at like 60 cents and then drained down to a low. That's a misprint there with the 1 cent. The low was actually 20 cents. Opened at $4.50 pre-market and fell to 20 cents. There was also SIVBQ, which is some other complicated thing. I don't know that much about it. All I know is SIVBQ, trading as an OTC. This is crazy. SIVB was, or SVIB, whatever one it was. I can't remember. Was that like an $80 stock? I wonder if it'll still show up here. Yeah, because it's no longer a ticker. But it was extremely, extremely high priced, which just crazy that now it was worth 20 cents after reopening. It's just crazy to see. And some of these other bank stocks like First Republic still really have not bounced all that well. This is still, show you a daily chart here. It's still down by its lows. It's really interesting to see. I don't quite know what'll happen with some of these. I know a lot of the other ones have bounced quite a bit better, but this could maybe be the next OTC. Who knows? But aside from the bank stocks, I'm still watching AI. Decent day today, just kind of hovering up here. We're, in my opinion, looks like a bit of a head and shoulders right here. We got that shoulder there, and then this head here, another shoulder. So I think now it kind of needs to set up for this multi-day consolidation, which it looks like it's trying to do. I like to take a look at like the 15-day, 15-minute, and remove the after hours. Sorry, my computer's just overwhelmed right now because I have 40,000 tabs open on other things too. Here we go. Oh, it's a 1 minute chart. There we go. There we go. Okay, so you can see this this my computer's spazzing out right now. All right. You can see this multi-day trend that's kind of trying to form here. I'll show you this trend line that I'm looking at. I see a couple, but this being that main one right here, that's been respecting pretty well so far. So I think a break through this basically 25.50 level, then we'd have this breakout from today's high as well. Could send this up for another potential leg higher, but for the moment, it's just kind of consolidating there. So I'm still keeping an eye on it, along with mainly BBAI as a sympathy if AI does get going. I really have been liking the structure BBAI has been forming down near its lows, been consolidating for about 5 or 6 days now. Take a look here. I'll show you why I like that. Up 4% today. Here we go. So, I mean, look at this. It makes a fresh new low here, right? It breaks that previous low around 170, falls down to just, well, I think just under 150, low 151, and bounces right back up to 2 and is now getting really nice and tight. So there might be a really good potential swing trade on that, or even if the just has a small gap up through one of those levels, potential trade. I think I could see that running especially if AI gets hot. Running up to like the 350s or the 4s, kind of testing this previous resistance level here. And if AI broke out, I think that'd be best case scenario for something like BBAI. I still think that'd probably struggle to break out a little bit. GFAI is okay, but a much lower float, more sporadic mover. I think BBAI is currently my favorite with the way it's consolidating down here. The other day, we also had comms run. My friend Dan Irish posted on Twitter. I know he killed this one. Actually got to sell up at 339 and his entries were down in like the 2s. But this is just kind of a crazy mover out of nowhere. What's interesting about it is that's holding up pretty well. I mean, this started its run from under $2. It's now holding up right close to 3, like in the 270s. High was only 350. This could be a decent multi-day breakout over that level. Former beatdown stock, and like I was saying, with the SPY bouncing so much, or well, in my opinion, if the SPY holds over $400, I think we'll see a lot of bounces in the small cap market. These ones that are literally at their all-time lows. We kind of saw this back in October, November of 2022 when the market started to bounce a little bit. A lot of these stocks that were down at their lowest really had some strong multi-day bounces, and I think we're going to see that again with some of these former runners that ran, realistically in that October-November timeframe. And I think comms is one of them that's been pretty beat down for a while now. There it is, started its run in October and then had another run in February and now is at all-time lows, even after these reverse splits. I think that's a sector, well, not really a sector, but an area of focus for the next few weeks here. Again, all under the assumption that the SPY can stay strong. AMBI had a decent little pop out of nowhere today for kind of a weird multi-day trend break. Literally halted out of nowhere on very little volume, but it was a nice multi-day trend break. And what I mean by that is we kind of just have this very clear multi-day trend right here. And it got, once again, really nice and tight down near its lows and seems to have just bounced really well off of that. So, yep, right through that trend line there. But that was a really weird one. I didn't like how it moved, and it just kind of went straight up without really ever giving a good entry. We also have BMEA, which was kind of a surprising one. Just kind of a real company, never a true former runner. Whoops. But it's a pretty low float relative to the price of the stock. I mean, 13 million, that's not bad at all. And it really had a strong run yesterday and then squeezed once again today. Take a look at this 2-day chart here. If I'm being honest, I don't even know what the news is, but we had this strong gap up and just straight up rip, and kind of had that really nice dip and rip out of the gate there, and literally ran from 23 up to 32, and then today hit like 37. Really nice, impressive squeeze. I could see this continuing its run too, given that it's at all-time highs, or I believe all-time highs. Let me confirm that. Yep, all-time highs. pretty low float, and very well could have some shorts in it. I do see prospectus 424B. That could be some form of, yep, they announced a $125 million offering. Yeah, that's tough at that point. Clearly, it's not. The offering might not have gone through yet, but just the announcing the pricing of it can, make this a really choppy and weird one now. So I'd say be careful there, but that could also lead to a squeeze. It's happened before. It doesn't happen every time, but it's something to keep an eye on. GBNH is another great watch that I'm keeping an eye on. This was a really nice third day surge a couple days ago. Had that really nice day one move here. And we had that nice consolidation day on day two. Little breakout on day three. And now we're still consolidating. I could see this turning into a multi-day runner too. So this is a top watch for me as long as the market is staying strong. PYXS, an interesting one here. I'm actually currently long this right now with a risk on low a day. I'm long from the 430s. But pretty small size. Again, just keeping that risk small there. I like this. It's an interesting multi-day runner where that first day closed red under the open price. And then we had a pretty strong gap up on day two with a squeeze out. But it only rotated its float, once or so. So if someone is, has been shorting this or is still not out of their position, there's a chance for a further squeeze, in my opinion. Although not necessarily a super low float. It's not a high float either. It's still a float that I'm comfortable trading. But the thesis, in my opinion, might take out a little longer to play out. And lastly, these other two watches I want to keep an eye on as, again, all under the assumption the market stays hot-ish and can be over 400, a break and hold over 400. KSCP was an IPO from 2022, and it was one of those really crazy ones. This was back when IPOs would go to like hundreds, maybe not hundreds of dollars, but up hundreds of percents on like day two or day three, early shorts getting squeezed out. And KSCP was no exception there, opening up its first day trading like 14, dumping down to 4, and then running the next 2 days up to 28. Pretty crazy, and it really hasn't had an overly strong bounce since then. And it's, again, in that range of the 31 million float. I think with a good catalyst, I would want to keep an eye on news for this because I think it would need news to really get it moving. But I could see that being a nice multi-day runner if the market stays strong. But another one here is KSPN, a much lower float. And it was a former runner back in July of 22, ran up to like the equivalent of 10. I don't know if it did a reverse split, but ran up to 10 and has now had one bounce back up to 7 in August. And it's really had nothing since. And now we're kind of getting this higher low here on the daily chart, or maybe an exact double bottom if those weren't misprints there at like 44, kind of starting to perk back again. I think it's interesting enough to keep an eye on for me. I don't know if I'd want to enter a swing on it until the market is really officially over 400 and has kind of confirmed that for me. But this is one I'm keeping an eye on as well. Okay. All right, and that's kind of everything in a nutshell for me so far. Like I said, I'm really optimistic about everything that's kind of coming up here in the market. But I do want to take my foot off the gas a little bit and make sure I'm keeping the size small because I realistically was just a little bit oversized this week. But I'm learning from that mistake, and going to just make sure that I'm preserving capital and my mental capital too, really. I'm trying to step away from the market in the middle of the day. I've noticed I've been losing a bit when I just stick around and watch and trade. So step away a little bit and make sure I'm not taking as big of losses until the market heats up, in my opinion, where I'm ready to start using that size again. And I'm comfortable risking that much money. So going to just chill for a little bit. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we can break out sooner rather than later. But don't feel bad for staying patient until it does. It's a lot better, I promise you. A missed trade is a lot better than taking a loss. You know what I mean? A free lesson is better than an expensive one. So anyways, clearly my tactic for likes didn't work, so I won't ask for a number, but I will ask you to like the channel or like the video if you do find these videos helpful and just kind of seeing my insight, my thoughts and my processes. Be sure to drop a comment down below of stocks that you might be keeping an eye on, especially if we can get a strong market rally in the SPY and the Qs. And last but not least, make sure you're subscribed and have post notifications turned on so you do not miss any of our videos. All right, everyone, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you back here next week. Trader Bryce out.
I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for being a part of the Stocks to Trade family. We just hit 100,000 subscribers, but our goal by the end of this year is to get 150,000 new family members a part of our channel. So if you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button, comment down below, hit the subscribe button, and maybe even turn on your post notifications. We cannot do this without your guys' support. So thank you so much. And if you want to see more of what we're doing, again, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and comment down below. We'll see you in the next video.